Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me, breaking down week number 7 in the National Football League. Here to break down the Cincinnati Bengals on the road taking on the Detroit Lions. A battle of two first-place teams, both at 4-2 coming into this ball game. Cincinnati coming into this game struggling on the road this season, but they just got their first road win of the season versus the Buffalo Bills in overtime a week ago. So they're feeling good about their play on the road now, seeing if they can string together a couple of consecutive road victories. On the other hand, you got the Detroit Lions going to Cleveland a week ago, getting a road victory of their own. They're in first place by their lonesome, looking to extend their lead over the rest of their division. So let's break down this matchup between two really good football teams to start the 2013 NFL season. So first thing I got to start with, and I've already said this so many times, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you got one of the elites, there's only about 5 elite receivers in this league, the elite of the elitist, okay? There's about 5 of those guys, and you got one on your team. You need to feed that guy the football at least 7 times a game. He needs to be targeted minimum, for me, 10 times a game. And if at all possible, 7 of those need to hit home. And I've said this time and time again. Your offense isn't fully green unless it's A.J. Green. If you're not hitting A.J. Green, then this Cincinnati Bengals offense isn't going to run as smoothly as it's supposed to. And double move, 82 yards later, A.J. Green is in the end zone at 7-0. Boy, he put a nasty double move on Chris Houston. Left that man somewhere around the 40-yard line. I don't know. I just know he was lost. We'll talk about Andy Dalton because he underthrew A.J. on this play. A.J. had to come back for the football, make a play on it. But he was able to get out of the little shoestring tackle that Chris Houston was trying to apply to A.J. Green and get in the end zone for an 82-yard touchdown to jumpstart the scoring in this game. Again, A.J. Green is money green. And so the man starts off the scoring with an 82-yard score. Lions answer with a 16-play, 80-yard, 8-minute touchdown drive capped off by a Brandon Pettigrew touchdown reception. We're all knotted up at 7. Lions move it down the field. They get in the end zone. And this is what you're expecting, a tit-for-tat, back-and-forth battle between two really good football teams. Good Cincinnati defense forces Detroit field goal. It's 10-7. Look, this Cincinnati Bengals team was all over the running game of the Detroit Lions. And we know how good this Cincinnati Bengals defense is. They're one of the best defenses in the league. We saw what they were able to do to Tom Brady a couple of weeks ago. This is maybe one of the best defenses in the National Football League. We know the Chiefs are up there. There's some other teams around, sniffing around. But this Bengals defense is where it's at. And so they were stifling the run early in this game. But I will say, and credit needs to be given to Reginald Bush. Reggie was running hard in this game. And you look at the end of this game stats, 20 carries, 50 yards. We're talking about 2.5 a carry. That's nasty. That's gross. That's egregious. But if you look at it in the context of the game, Reginald, there were times, okay, in this game where Reggie got the football and it should have been a 3-yard loss. It should have been a 2-yard loss. And Reggie darted and he had patience and he made guys miss and he got yardage that wasn't there. And so that 20 for 50 easily could have been 20 carries for 34 yards. Reggie really made some yards or got back to the line of scrimmage when it was a lost cause. So I really love the way Reggie Bush has changed his game from just a guy that needs to be on the outside to being able to run between the tackles. He was running hard, and he earned every single yard that he got in this game. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Jermaine Gresham stunts the growth of a Bengals drive. They have to settle for a field goal that Mike Nugent misses from 47 yards. So you got to be smart on the road. And this is why the Cincinnati Bengals infuriate me, because here we are. You're moving down the field, a good drive going, and he has another little problem later in the game, and we'll get he commits another boo-boo, and we'll talk about that later on. But you're moving the ball down the field. You're looking to get more points. You can't have an unsportsmanlike 15-yard penalty moved the drive back. It doesn't matter what happens. You got to keep your composure, especially on the road. And this is a Bengals team that has struggled on the road to start this season. You don't need things that are stopping your progress, like a penalty like that stops you from getting points. Mike Nugent is pushed out of his field goal range. And look, that's his range. He can make a 47-yard field goal. But at the time, if this is a 32-yard field goal, take away that 15-yard penalty, he makes this field goal instead of missing it, taking points off the scoreboard. Carlos Dunlap with a huge field goal block to help preserve a 3-point deficit. The Lions move the ball down the field. We're looking to tack on another field goal to their already 10-7 lead. And Carlos Dunlap does a phenomenal job of getting through the line, getting his hands up, and he could have caught the football. He got in that cleanly. And we know Carlos Dunlap is a huge man already as it is, and he blocks the field goal. And that's a huge play because, again, we know this game ends up being a 3-point ball game. And so this field goal that was blocked, big play for the Cincinnati Bengals. Great throw and catch by Andy Dalton and Marvin Jones to combine on a late first half touchdown. Cincinnati is up 21-10, or 14-10 at this point in the game. This was a beautiful catch, awesome throw by Andy Dalton. Again, I want to elaborate on Andy's performance in this game a little bit later, but this was a beautiful throw, and you'll hear me saying that time and time again in this game from Andy Dalton. A great catch by Marvin Jones. I thought he had a strong performance in this game, as well as Jermaine Gresham, outside of the mistakes, the mental mistakes that he had in this game. Gresham was big. Eifert was big. We'll get to him in a second. But the surrounding cast around A.J. Green played well in this football game, and that's what they're going to need if this Bengals offense is going to take that next step. Beautiful throw by Andy Dalton. Here we go again. Another beautiful throw by Andy Dalton to Tyler Eifert this time for a 32-yard touchdown. Now it's 21-10. Now Cincinnati is starting to seize control of this game. The thing I don't like about the Bengals, however, is that even when they're ahead, they never keep their foot down on that gas pedal. Sometimes they ease up. There's times where they mash the gas and they just take it to that next gear and they run away with the game. But there are times like against Buffalo last week, up 24-10 in the fourth quarter. Run away with that game. Run away with it. Don't let them come back, tie the game, and you got to go to overtime to get the victory. Run away with that game. Here, you're up 21-10. Run away with this game. Don't let the Lions crawl back in. But the difference between last week and this week, last week, to me, there was no excuse to let them back in the game. You got a guy like Thaddeus Lewis coming in the game and really not playing a lot in the league. That was different. You need to put the clamps down on those guys. This is Matthew Stafford. This is the Detroit Lions. This is Havertz to Megatron. Great back shoulder throw from Matthew Stafford to Calvin Johnson for a 27-yard touchdown. And he got nasty on this one. 360 dunk on the goalpost. Ha! As Calvin slams it home. Big throw, big catch. They're right back in this football game at 21-17 after this play. So just when you thought it was safe for the Cincinnati Bengals, here comes this Lions offensive attack spearheaded by Havertz to Megatron. So Mike Nugent, who earlier missed from 47, connects from 48 to put Cincinnati back up by a touchdown, 24-17. I'm a guy that always loves to be up by a touchdown. Just in case the other team wants to trip at the end of the game and score a touchdown, they won't take the lead. They'll only tie the game. That field goal ensured that the Cincinnati Bengals would be up by a touchdown. And if the Lions wanted to score at the end of the game, guess what? They'd only be tying it, not taking the lead. So big kick by Mike Nugent. And then here we go again. Just when you thought it was safe. And again, to me, this was a back and forth battle between two of the elites in the league. I'm talking about at the wide receiver position. On one side, you're not fully green unless you're AJ Green. And on the other side, Havertz to Megatron. And here we go again. 3rd and 18. Matthew Stafford has nowhere to go with the football. And he's directing traffic. He's about to get hit. And as he's about to get hit, he unleashes the football about 60 yards in the air. It looks like a Hail Mary pass. There's 3 Cincinnati Bengals down the field, 1 Lion. And guess who that Lion just happens to be? You guessed it. Happens to Megatron. He comes down with it in triple coverage. Oh my stars. How does that happen? It's 24 all. I mean, just like that. You've built yourself a lead in this game only to see Calvin Johnson by himself tear it down. And so now it's 24 all. Now it's a brand new ball game. It's 0-0. You got to start from scratch. If you're Cincinnati, you've come too far. You've worked too hard to lose this game. Got to find a way to eke this one out. So Lions drive stalls out at the Bengals 46-yard line. And that was big. The Lions were driving down the field late in the ball game for an opportunity to kick a field goal. They have a situation where they get a penalty and Joyce Bell catches the football for a first down. Well, the penalty is on the Lions. It's offensive pass interference on Brandon Pettigrew. And so Brandon Pettigrew and that penalty was going to be offset because if Joyce Bell catches the ball for a first down, the Bengals have no choice but to accept the penalty and give Detroit another opportunity to gain some yards to get back in the field goal range. Instead, the penalty is on the Lions, and Marvin Lewis, who was brilliant in challenging in this game, challenges this play, and the challenge is overturned. The play is overturned, and it's not a catch. The ball did hit the ground, so now the Bengals have the option to decline that penalty, make it fourth down, which they do. Now the Lions have to punt. Huge turn of events on that sequence of plays, and that netted the Bengals the football late in the game with a chance to win. But the Lions force a punt. They get the football back, but the Bengals force a punt themselves late in the game, so no one could sustain offense at the end of the game. This one looked like it was heading on a crash course for overtime. However, Bengals said, hold on, wait a minute. We're not done. They force a punt, and Sam Martin, who had been punting the football outstanding all game for the Detroit Lions, decides to pick the worst time of the game to kick his worst kick of the game. And Cincinnati gets great field position right around the 40-yard line. They've got a couple of timeouts. Dalton, who had been strong all day, distributes the football around, makes a couple of completions. They call their final timeout. They send Mike Nugent on the field, who had just hit from 48 not too long ago, from 54 yards out. The kick, it's up, and it's good. The Cincinnati Bengals have just come into Detroit and stole a 27-24 victory. Huge win for Cincinnati. These are the type of wins I like to see teams get because this is a team that struggles on the road. These are the type of wins that you get that build your confidence on the road. I love it because this is a talented Cincinnati Bengals team. And I get upset when they go on the road and they lose a game that they're supposed to win like they did against Cleveland. And I don't know who this team is. I know who they are at home. I trust the Cincinnati Bengals 110% at home. I do not trust them on the road until they start doing things like this. Now you're starting to build up equity with me. I love to see the Bengals go on the road and get one like this. For Detroit, this is a tough loss. Again, I feel the same way about Detroit, but instead of it being a home and away thing, I just don't know what I'm getting from week to week from Detroit. Whether it's home or away, I don't know what Detroit Lions team is going to show up. And so it's a tough loss because here's a Cincinnati Bengals team that is extremely talented, but they struggle on the road. You have an opportunity to beat them, and you do not get it done. But, hey, look, if there's some solace in this for Detroit, this is a good Cincinnati Bengals team. No need to hang your head. If you're going to lose to a team at home, these are the type of teams that can get you and will get you at home. Big win for the Cincinnati Bengals. Couple of things I want to touch on before we get out of here. Leon Hall got injured. He's gone for the season. That's going to be a devastating loss for this Cincinnati Bengals team. He had been playing exceptional football. I mean, he's one of the better corners in the National Football League. He tore his ACL. He's going to be gone for the season. And that's a really tough blow for this Cincinnati Bengals team because, again, they play such good defense. Part of the reason why they are able to play that kind of defense is that coverage they get in the back half with Leon Hall, with Terrence Newman, with Adam Jones. And so, Reggie Nelson and all of those guys playing solid football, you take Leon Hall out of the equation, and somebody else like maybe Drake Kirkpatrick is going to have to step up in that void and play some solid football. So that's a huge blow from this team. You look at Andy Dalton. I want to talk about Andy Dalton a little bit before we get out of here. Andy Dalton played his butt off in this game. And I'm proud of Andy Dalton because a lot of people doubt Andy Dalton. And look, he does not possess top-end arm strength. That is a fact. Okay, we saw it on numerous occasions in this game. A.J. Green easily could have had 230 yards receiving in this game if Andy Dalton had a stronger arm. On the 82-yard touchdown pass, he got lucky. A.J. had to come back, secure the football, and then break the tackle. Or else that's a tackle because he didn't lay it out there. A.J. had Chris Houston beat like a drum, about 5 yards worth of space, and he underthrew him. Luckily enough, A.J.'s a big, physical, strong receiver, able to get to the end zone. But there are other occasions in this game where A.J. had a step or two, and he didn't lay it out there, and he allowed the defender to get their hands on the football. When you don't have arm strength, Peyton Manning doesn't have top choice grade A arm strength. You need anticipation. Andy has to anticipate A.J. breaking away from guys and getting a step and lay it out there. No, you don't have the arm strength to chuck it 60 yards down the field. So anticipate him getting open and lay it out there and let him run under it. Don't wait for him to break away by 5 yards away from a defender and then try to throw it. Now it's too late. Now your arm isn't far enough to get it out there. Anticipate. And that's all he needs to do. But from what I saw from him in this game, thoroughly impressed. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Bad Boys, but there's a scene in the movie where Will Smith tells Martin Lawrence, this is how you drive. That's how you're supposed to drive. From now on, Andy Dalton, that's how you play. From now on, that's how you're supposed to play. And I want you to play like that every single week. Home, away, doesn't matter. That's how you play football. You play football like that, the Cincinnati Bengals will be in a prime position come January, come February, to be cashing in some tickets to the Super Bowl. That's big boy football. You took that on the road, and you got yourself a victory. Want to see more of that from Andy Dalton and this Cincinnati Bengals offense. And so that's going to do it for this breakdown of this matchup on Sunday in week number 7. Got a couple more to break down, so come back, check me out. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. See you a little bit later.